discovered in the superhero's use of disguise and his somewhat superheroic ability with the longbow. For Robin Hood, it has been noted that his disguise was a means of survival and deception, and for the superhero, the costume operates in much the same way. However, the costume, which generally contains a mask, acts more to protect the hero's loved ones and his own civilian alter ego by deceiving his enemies. Additionally, like Robin Hood's uncanny skill as an archer, superheroes generally have, you guessed it, superpowers, which are utilized as weapons against injustice. Finally, like Robin Hood and Little John, many characters take a sidekick or work together with a team, a group of the proverbial merry men. Three heroes in comics and graphic novels most specifically demonstrate the motifs and characteristics attributed to Robin Hood. They are Green Arrow, Batman, and V. The first of which, Green Arrow, borrows from Robin Hood more than the rest, for the Emerald Archer dons a longbow as his weapon of choice, and even dresses sharp, wearing the traditional Robin Hood garb, even down to those fancy green tights. As a character in the early DC universe, Green Arrow rarely made appearances above the B-team status of comics. That is, until writer Dennis O'Neil and artist Neil Adams burst on the scenes in the early 1970s. O'Neil, big-hearted liberal that he was, decided to make Green Arrow a foil to the incorruptible and conservative Boy Scout of a galactic cop that was Green Lantern. O'Neil chose to let art reflect life, and he did so by allowing Green Arrow to mirror his own values of what was occurring in the historic times of the 1960s. Through the Emerald Archer, he introduced his readers to issues such as racism and the perceived tyranny of the upper class. He constructed Oliver Queen, Green Arrow's civilian identity, as a wealthy, almost aristocratic businessman and philanthropist who spent much of his time helping the downtrodden, defeated, and oppressed, whether he wore the tights and mask or not. During a particular battle against a mining tycoon and his Nazi henchmen, the Archer even mentions that the conflict reminded him of, and I quote, another bowman named Robin Hood. He didn't dig tyrants either, end quote. Green Arrow succeeds in teaching Green Lantern that there is more to justice than defeating physical enemies and using powers to do so. He is the hero of social justice, the same as Robin Hood, defending those who cannot fend for themselves. Much like Green Arrow, Batman's alter ego Bruce Wayne is a wealthy businessman. However, Batman differs in that he never attempts to play the part of social hero. Instead, his heroics are darker, even almost sinister. Batman represents the anti-hero, the vigilante, the outlaw hero of Robin Hood lore. When Bob Kane originally created Batman in 1939, he was intended to be a dark character. However, due to the comic book code of 1954, in which the Senate Subcommittee on Juvenile Delinquency decided that the comic book industry should self-regulate in order to protect children, and caused the Comic Magazine Association of America Incorporated to institute that, and I quote, policemen, judges, government officials, and respected institutions shall never be presented in such a way as to create disrespect for established authority, and to assure readers that in every instance good shall triumph over evil and the criminal punished for his misdeeds. Batman was cleaned up and officially deputized as part of the Gotham City Police Department. Upon the relaxing of the code in the 1970s and 80s, Batman has become dark once more, fighting crime with wealth, detective skills, and martial arts combat training as his only powers. The Dark Knight has finally returned, and his war is against criminals, whether they are psychotic clowns, multiple personality district attorneys, or just plain downright dirty cops. He does not discriminate, for he is the vigilante, the hero who operates outside of the law's leadership and protection. He is the truest of outlaw heroes, and his mission is to protect the innocent so they never have to face the kind of tragedy that he survived as a child, helplessly watching the murder of his own parents. One further attribute of Batman that is credited to Robin Hood's influence is that of the sidekick. Much like Robin Hood accepted Little John as his friend and compatriot, Batman takes young Dick Grayson upon the murder of his parents under his figurative and literal wings to be both ward and protege. Acrobatically skilled fighter that Dick Grayson already is, Batman does not have to spend a great deal of time training his new sidekick physically. And in Frank Miller's and Jim Lee's all-star Batman and Robin, the Boy Wonder, he allows Dick to choose his own name and costume for himself. Dick, inspired by Robin Hood movies that he had seen and viewed with his father as a child, he chooses red red and green tights, a mask with a hood, and a long bow as his weapon of choice. Additionally, he decides on the name of Hood. However, Batman quickly dispels this. He pulls the hood over Dick Grayson's eyes and hits him once or twice, thus demonstrating the foolishness of a hero ever to wear a hood in battle, at least in this day and age. In jest, Batman labels Dick Robin, and the name sticks. Robin Hood's influence, though, is found in more than the name, for Robin has a penchant for archaic weaponry, like the bow staff and sling as well. Meanwhile, it is important to see that both Batman and Robin have their own versions of the Men of Greenwood. Batman leads the Justice League of America, though most attribute said leadership to Superman. It is Batman who is entrusted with the kryptonite, the only element of weakness in the Man of Steel's Arthurian-type armor. Batman is the leader, but like Robin Hood, whose legend was overshadowed only by King Arthur's, he finds himself overlooked by comic book readers who prefer the invincible flying alien. Additionally, Robin takes on his role as the leader of the Teen Titans, a team of sidekicks fighting crime and oppression in this world and others in the comic universe. In addition to the vigilante and the archer for social justice, Robin Hood holds a distinction as an anti-hero who fights against the miseries of national enslavement. Like Robin Hood, the character of V in Alan Moore's V for Vendetta is freedom's heroic warrior, but his plight is against the nation's enslavement of her people's minds. Directly influenced by the story of Guy Fawkes, V battles the tyrannical oppression of a Nazi-like regime and its fingermen, or secret police. Guy Fawkes, a historic contemporary to the Renaissance Robin Hood of the stage, had believed that the British government was acting viciously and corruptly during his time, and joined with others in an attempt to overthrow it. His part was to blow up Parliament with a multitude of kegs filled with gunpowder. But on November 5th, 1605, the gunpowder treason and plot was unearthed, and Fawkes was hanged. V knew of no reason the gunpowder treason should ever be forgot. With this cry for true freedom, V, who was originally slated as a transsexual hero called the Doll, battles for the minds of all of England. V represents Moore's own views opposing what he labels as the ultra-conservatives of the 1980s, as V battles against the oppression of the minority, specifically warring with the laws banning homosexuality. Through V, Moore attempts to shine a light on the people of England and hopes to get them to realize that freedom is not complete until everyone is free. And V even goes to the extreme of preaching anarchy. As Moore closes his brief introduction, he states emphatically and unapologetically, "I don't like it here in England anymore. Good night, England. Good night, V for victory. Hello, the voice of fate, and V for vendetta." From Hereward the Wake and the other historical and literary progenitors of Robin Hood's legend to the characters found in the superhero mythos of today, Robin Hood stands as a symbol of freedom. He is the classic anti-hero, whether yeoman or dispossessed aristocrat who fights and sacrifices for the betterment of his people. Like V, Robin Hood stands up for the lepers of society, all the while challenging those in power to forsake their tyranny and to offer true freedom to the people of their nation. Like Batman, he is the vigilante operating outside of the law, and like Green Arrow, Robin Hood is the archer for social justice. Of all the superhero greats, one finds that Robin Hood is the original. His influence, though he may have had no true origin in reality, is found in the heroism of all time. So long as there are heroes who stand against tyranny and oppression, so long as there are heroes who fight for real freedom, so long as there are heroes like the Allied forces currently in Iraq and Afghanistan and all over the world, and there are families back home who sacrifice daily for liberty's cause, so long as there are heroes, even superpowered ones, Robin Hood will always be remembered.